Melbourne apartment rents crash. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my morning stein of coffee. I thought we'd have a look at this article from domain.com.au which is discussing, well, the fall in Melbourne apartment rents for the first time in, shockingly, 15 years, everyone. 15 years. Now, there have been people saying we've got a V-shaped recovery, property's coming back, the economy will be fantastic. I think a lot of people don't appreciate how slow and a drawn-out process this recession and the effects of it are going to be. We've got several interventions into the market. You've got JobKeeper, JobSeeker Plus, you've got mortgage holidays, you've got director liability deferrals. All in place now. All in place now. So we're not seeing the true impact of the economic damage that's occurred. And that's going to be represented in property. Now, before we go through this article, let's just jump over to the Property Council of Australia, their data room. And we can have a look here. I brought up the median residential unit values. And in Melbourne, it's 575,000. And that's on the 31st of March. So not that long ago. Not that long ago. And we'll look at rents. Median residential unit rents. The weighted average is $457. Sydney is leading the pack at $530, and Melbourne you've got at $430 a week. Decent rent. I'm just thinking the cheapest I ever. I think we were paying $390 for a 2-bedroom Queenslander in the middle of Brisbane. A while ago now. Actually, I'm showing my age. I am showing my age. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep that in mind to see where is it heading, because this is from March, and the data, obviously, in this article is going to be more up to date. So, apartment rents across Melbourne have fallen for the first time in 15 years. And this is why you have the people always say, property always goes up, property always goes up. Because they've got no memory of when property's ever not gone up. 15 years of rent increases, everyone. So, in some ways, you can't blame people for being a broken record. That's all they know. That's all they know. And, so they're plummeting from the record highs recorded late last year, new figures show. The June quarter domain rent report released Thursday reveals the damage inflicted by the pandemic. Unit rents have fallen 3.5%, shaving $15 off the median weekly rent price, now down to $415. So, they're down from $430 to $415. So they're getting closer to Hobart. Could you do the commute from Hobart to Melbourne? I don't think you could. Well, actually, no, you can't now, can you? Borders closed. House rents across Melbourne also fell over the quarter by 2.3% to a median of $430 a week. So even houses are going down. Houses are now where units were. Rents dropped in almost every region of Melbourne except the Mornington Peninsula, where both apartment and house rents remained unchanged as local holidaymakers buoyed the market. And we'll see that there's other articles as well of international students fleeing from Melbourne. Fleeing from Melbourne right now, getting out of the state, getting out of the city. How's that going to affect rental costs? Sure, holidaymakers, going to Mornington, that's all going to be over now. How many people aren't going to be able to afford their mortgages? How many people are dependent on their mortgage holidays? And now the rent that they're counting on, which they're not even getting, has also decreased. But no, everyone, property always goes up. So median unit rents in Melbourne June quarter. So the inner is down quarter on quarter 7.2, inner east 3.4, inner south 2.3, northeast down 2.6, northwest down 2.7. The outer east is at 0% change, 385. Southeast negative 1.4, west negative 2.9, and Mornington Peninsula down 0. So you can see the change, variation in rents. Worst hit was the inner region of Melbourne, including the suburbs of Carlton, Fitzroy, and the CBD, where apartment rents tumbled by 7.2% to a median weekly rent of $450, down $35 a week. And it may not seem like a lot, but $35 extra a week in your budget if you're renting, that can make a big difference. That's 35 extra coffees at 7-Eleven a week. So at least 2 days worth of coffees. Hashtag not sponsored. House rents in the inner region also fell, dropping by 6.3% over the quarter to $40 a week from the median rent, now $600. Suburbs including Williamstown, Melton and Bacchus Marsh saw weekly rents fall by 2.9% for units and 2.6% for houses over the quarter. Median rents dropped by $10 in both instances to $340 and $380 a week respectively. So we can see here. Domain senior research analyst Nicola Powell said the figures showed there was a distinct difference in the markets in inner and outer Melbourne. It's really clear that the inner suburbs have felt the brunt of the impact of the pandemic, the doctor said. Job losses due to closures of businesses across the city aimed at reducing the spread of the disease, and border closures both interstate and internationally had all weighed heavily on the Melbourne rental market. We can see here. Dr. Powell said advertised rentals between March and June jumped by a whopping 64% compared with the same time last year, with 1 in 3 inner-city landlords now discounting their rents to attract tenants. So you can see here that, is this the beginning of the sign of desperation? How many people are investment geniuses that are bought into these things, expecting property to always climb, negative gearing them, only paying the interest, not the capital? Maybe they've lost their job too. No wonder the banks are extending the mortgage holiday for another 4 months. How long can this keep going? How long can they kick this can down the road, everyone? Can they keep kicking it forever? What's the precedent? Will it be, I think we'll really start to see the impact of all of this in February next year. It's going to be a drawn-out process. It will. Would you be jumping at buying in one of these investment properties now? We've got another article we'll look at where all the inquiries, it's from first home buyers. Investors are pulling back. They're waiting. Those renting in the inner suburbs were most likely to have been affected by the job losses or a loss of work hours, meaning they were looking for a cheaper way to live. They were either moving home or to bigger properties to lower the cost of living or asking for a discount in rent, she said. Across Melbourne, agents reported tenants were targeting larger properties for rent reduction, taking advantage of the current market conditions that had swung in their favour in order to bag themselves a bigger home. In the inner east region suburbs, including Templestowe, Doncaster and Box Hill, tenants have been offered $25 a week less at times, or had been offering, Philip Webb real estate executive Anthony Webb said. We can see here median unit price rents. There you go. Down for everywhere. And we'll look at some other cities as well. Jenny Corgi, the property management branch manager with Gary Pearce, said the lack of international students had affected the rental market, especially in suburbs close to universities, including Monash in Caulfield. There you go. We were talking about this in other videos, how just this crash in international students was going to affect the property market. Just think about the people who've invested in those, the towers that are purely focused on internationals. Like I remember the ones here in Brisbane. I went there when I was at uni for parties. They'd have, a shared communal kitchen, a gym, all these things, and a tiny little box of a room. And I looked at buying one. And the cost, the body corporates, it's crazy. You're going to get normal people living in there if international students don't come in. What's going to happen if you start getting people coming into these ones that aren't students, that don't have the money? What we're actually seeing is there's a flood of 1 or 2 bedroom smaller properties on the market, she said. A lack of international students has definitely had an impact. And then we'll eventually start to see that affecting the valuation of these properties. Remember, it's the edge case, the last one in the street, the last one in the building that affects the valuation of your property. The last one to sell is what is important. Not what you bought it for 20 years ago, not what your fifi feelings think it is. We saw that in other examples. There was a woman complaining that she'd bought a property here 20 years ago and now she's going to leave Australia going back to New Zealand with less money, made a loss. That's life. It's what happens when you buy at the peak, I'm afraid. The number of days of a rental property sat vacant was now considerably longer, jumping from 10 days before the pandemic hit to 25 to 30 days, she said. Ms. Corgi said while landlords with vacant properties were dropping rents to meet the market expectations, those with tenant properties were also being encouraged to drop rents. But not all landlords were happy to do so. Of course not, because they have to learn the hard way. They have to learn the hard way. If you want that discount on your rent, you have to be ready to walk as a tenant. You have to be ready to walk. Ettore Michelin, an international student from Italy who is renting in Footscray while he studied hotel management, has been struggling to convince his landlord to reduce the rent. I remember we had some international exchange students from Italy. They were studying architecture, and they came over to a house party I had, and this is probably very mean. I taught them about an Australian delicacy where you get a nice bottle of wine and you mix it with Vegemite and you drink it. This was after we were pretty hammered at the party, and they were drinking and going, yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's very mean, very mean. Well, he successfully negotiated a rent reduction of 20% between April and June. His hours of work were reduced due to the pandemic. He's been denied an extension to this discount. Then he has to move. That's how you do it. It's left him worried about how he will continue to pay the rent, which costs him and his housemate more than $1,500 a month. My housemate and I are both hard workers, and we've tried to find another solution, to find other jobs to support ourselves, he said. I don't want to have to choose between buying food or paying the rent. I understand that the landlord is facing a tough time, but from my point of view, we're all facing hard times, he said. Then you've got to move, mate. It's that simple. Tenant's Victoria Chief Executive Jennifer Beveridge encouraged renters who are facing similar issues to seek financial assistance from the government and also apply for a dispute resolution with Consumer Affairs Victoria. We would very much encourage people in that situation to go to the Consumer Affairs website and go through the process, she said. So there we have it, everyone. Melbourne apartments have taken a hit in rent. And this is only just the beginning of this recession. A lot of these are investment properties. A lot of them are catering for students. I can't say I'm at all surprised. How is this going to affect the valuations? And this is just the beginning. Just the beginning. Remember, this is a slow-moving market. This isn't crypto. You're not going to get these sharp movements overnight. It's going to be slow and drawn out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next time.